Alright, you guys. This is going to be a long video. I know it already, and I haven't even edited it yet, okay? So I don't blame you guys if you don't want to watch the whole thing. But if you are rebuilding a McCulloch 10 series saw, specifically this one is a Pro Mac 1010, this is going to be helpful for you. I run through a full teardown of the saw, I clean it all up, and I rebuild it from the bottom up. I hope you guys enjoy. Watch it in parts. Take your time watching it. I know it's a long one. I appreciate all of you. And yeah, keep watching and you're going to see my hair grow about 12 inches. I've got an old beast of a saw for you guys that we're going to be working on today. This is a McCulloch Pro Mac 1010. This thing was the first saw that my dad bought when he got the property and the cabin, and he did a lot of clearing and cutting with this thing. I've run this saw, I've cut trees with it. It's loud, it's heavy, it's slow, and it'll make you feel like you've got a neurological disorder after about running it for 10 minutes because your arms are shaking so bad. So, do I have saws that are better, lighter, faster, more horsepower? Yes, but this one's a special one to me. So in this video, we're going to give it some love. So I've got a pile of parts over here. I've got a new guard for the recoil, new air filter, carb kit, a couple new bolts because I'm missing one right here. I think this is a gas tank gasket. And a new fuel line and fuel filter. If you guys have a McCulloch Mac 1010, this will help you get your saw revived. So stay tuned and we will tear this thing apart and get it running like new again. First things first though, this thing is filthy. There's at least 10 years worth of junk that is just crammed all over the place. So we'll clean this thing up as a first step and see what we're working with. You know, there's something special, like even down to the way that this saw smells, that just brings back so much nostalgia for me. I can't explain it, but if you know, you know. Oh yeah, looky there. All right, here's some ASMR for somebody out there. And at this point, this saw weighs more in sawdust and oil than it does in metal. All right, we'll do this for about another 5 hours, and then maybe we'll have a clean saw. And you know what, just for fun, I'm gonna save all of these shavings and we'll weigh them at the end and see how much extra weight we had in this thing. Let's go ahead and pull the air filter cover off, which, as you guys can see, is quite funky. All right, let's go ahead and pop the gas tank apart. The fact that this is a two-piece gas tank is weird. There it goes. Maybe it's reverse thread. Yep, that was it. Okay. Alright, taking the coil off here. So I popped, let's see, there's a washer there. The ground goes there. This bolt with 2 washers goes in there, and then this odd looking thing goes in there. Okay. And we'll pop the kill switch off, which is right here. That was in the oil tank, a mummified ant. I figured out how to get the carb off. So basically all I did was pulled the choke off here just by taking it off the lever, pulled the 2 screws out, got the carb free, and then I was able to wiggle the throttle off like that. The piston looks okay, and it does have compression. There is some slight scoring. Well, I just did a bad thing. I just broke this green piece trying to get it off. Find a new one of these, or maybe 3D print one. Alright, back on this flywheel here. This is day 2. No. It worked. You gotta bend these tabs out just enough to get a socket on there. Wow, all this just kind of sandwiches together. So our intake boot is here. I want to try to not get any crap in there, but there is still something holding on in the oil compartment. It appears to be this Allen key. That's pretty loose. Is this all just going to fall apart? Yes, it is. Alright, moment of truth. What is that, half a pound? No wonder this thing was heavy. Guess I'm gonna have to take that off. shouldn't really be anything holding this together now. There we go, immediately off the bat. There's some paper towel that I sucked in there. And we'll go ahead and do the thing. We did it. There's a good amount of carbon at the top of the cylinder. I don't know if we can clean that out or not. At least we can clean these up now. A lot of carbon on the top of the cylinder here. This can all get cleaned up. Alright, now that we've gutted this thing down, basically to bare bones, except for this oil pickup, I have no idea how to get that in there or get that out of there, so that'll stay. We'll go ahead and throw these in the ultrasonic cleaner, get them cleaned up nice. Alright, it's day 3 on this thing. As you can see, we are still deep. We're waiting on parts. A couple new oil seals in the mail here. But I figured in the meantime we could go ahead and... This is actually the reason I took the saw apart in the first place. So we will go ahead and rewind that recoil spring. You keep doing that. Oh, it gets easier once you get down to the bottom. There we go. A little hold of this thing. This, by the way, is one of the new parts I got that was missing. Unfortunately, this is broken, and these parts are pretty expensive, so she's going to go back in broken. Alright, now I gotta pre-tension this. So Tin Man says 5 turns. Hold it with 4 hands. So we want it to recoil this way, so it's got to be tensioned that way. Okay. We're figuring it out. Okay. 1/2, 1, 1/2, 2, 1/2, 5. Okay, now we rewind this. All right. That's a win. All right, everyone. A couple weeks later, finally got the parts that I needed. We've got new gaskets for everything. Got these off eBay. Got new oil seals for the crank. I think I also got these off eBay. I might have actually ordered these. I'm not sure where I got these. I'll put a link. But these will replace these guys here. I've got a new gasket for the airbox. I'm really kind of over this project at this point, but I need the shop space to work on these pedals. This is from another project that you guys have seen, the F250, so I need to work on those soon. And I gotta just clean this stuff off my bench, so let's just lock in and get it done. One more thing that I wanted to mention, I did take this to a saw shop and I had them like take a look at the inside of the cylinder here and take a look at the piston, and they said put it back together and run it. It doesn't look too bad. So there are 2 rings on that piston. I'm going to make sure that the gaps are indexed 180 degrees away from each other and not in line with the intake or exhaust ports. So the lines, the gaps in the rings will kind of run in line with the crankshaft here. I don't know if that's important or not, but that's what I'm going to do. When we put this back together, we're not going to grease anything in there. We're just going to use 2-stroke oil. That's, to the best of my knowledge, the way to do this. What will get a little bit of grease, though, are these oil seals. There is a small gap in there that can take a little grease. I'm basically just going to take like a tiny little bit of grease on the end of my finger and just kind of pack it in this groove. I'm going to try to avoid getting it on the outside because that's going to be part of the seal. This one, same thing. I'm just going to pack that inside edge. Pop this bearing out. And that's just going to get a little bit of 2-stroke oil. And this doesn't need much, I don't think, but you know, we're just gonna. That looks good. Just trying to make sure these oil seals are like right on the edge, which they look pretty good. Now where this bearing sits, I'm not sure. It seems like maybe there should be a little more clearance over this way. We'll do it like that. About like that. So this is all ready to go. Now we've just got to put sealer on here. We're going to use this stuff for that. And you just want a real thin bead of this stuff kind of on both of these halves here. Some 2-stroke oil. In fact, I'll just use my finger. That's good and lubed up. I'm going to make sure I get the rings good. Okay, that looks good. I'll go ahead and set it in here. Now we're going to go ahead and lube the inside of the cylinder. I don't really know how to do this. We're just going to go for it. So this will get lifted up. That goes in there like that. We've got a couple options here. We can either use these small screws to try to put some tension on it, or we can use the larger bolts. I think I'm going to use the smaller ones just so that I can apply gasket compound to the, you need to put gasket compound on the ends of these bolts here so that it makes a seal. Loctite. Loctite. Oh God. 2 more to go. All right, all of our main bolts are back in now. I just got to put a little tension on them. All right, it looks pretty good. The only spot where I don't see it squishing out is like right along this oil seal here and right here. But I'm kind of just hoping that there's enough gasket compound in there to have made that work. So there's our jug put back together. All right, for this next phase, I'm just going to start chipping away at putting things back together. I'm not going to show you me doing all of that, but I will show you, like, once I get it in, the order that I did it and any like notes that I have for you guys. So that's next. All right, muffler's back on. Whatever that piece is inside of the oil sump here, I put back on. It was just one screw, and then I put the plate back on with a new gasket. Muffler also got a new gasket. Let's keep going. All right, well, I've got this thing open. That black piece at the end of my thumb is what I had to put in. And then the little oil pumper thing here. One is tapped into the case, one is through bolted, so you need access. All right, I'm not really sure what all goes next, but I guess I'm gonna put the clutch back on. So a little washer goes on there. Then needle bearing and sprocket, and then clutch goes on top of that. So I'm going to put a little bit of grease on this needle bearing here, and then we'll reassemble it all. All right, a couple more things. This piece of plastic is just on there loose, but that's on there. Put the coil on. That's just these 2 bolts. This will need to get adjusted based on where the flywheel ends up. I'll show you guys how to do that in a minute. I think we're good to put this back on. All right, since I last checked in with you guys, I've kind of got this plate mounted on here. Kill switch is hooked back up. This little tab, I think, goes in this orientation. It can flip around too, so I'm going to double check that. But these bolt through to the jug. There's another bolt right here that bolts through. And then there is a intake riser with 2 gaskets that gets sandwiched in there between the jug and this thing here. So still got to get this Allen key in the oil sump, and we got to reconnect our throttle linkage, but we're getting there. This little Allen key thing goes right up in here. Put a little Loctite on that. Still seems like I'm forgetting something here, but I remember, let's see, I remember an old timer once told me that a business card is the way to set one of these. So let me see if I have one of those. You just slide it in there like that and then tighten it down on top of it. There's only a couple things left to do on the punch list for the Mac. We've got to reprint the intake boot and do a carb rebuild. There's a couple of things that I did off camera, nothing significant. I plugged the fuel filter into the housing here, and I think all we got to do is tighten up this flywheel and clutch bolt or nut and get the carb done, stick it back on there, and we'll be good to go. Now, I don't know if you guys remember from earlier in the video, but this carb intake boot here, I broke. And what I ended up doing was I ended up printing a new one. The orientation of the taper on this one was wrong though, so I've got a new one right here that I'm going to print on the Mini. And yeah, I wanted to give a big shout out to my friend Nikolai. He runs a new outfit called Bushcraft, Buschkraft. I'm going to put all his links in the description below. You guys should go check him out. He's a really talented ceramicist and builder and tool maker, and he's just an all-around great guy. I sent him the rough dimensions of this thing, and he made me a 3D model to plug into my printer so I could reprint that part, which is awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and start this print. We're just going to be printing it with, what is this? PLA right now. Just to see if the saw will work, and then I might go back and print it with some PETG. But while we got this going, we'll tear into the carb. I assume we've got some stiff diaphragms in here, and we'll plug it all back in, see if we can get it to fire. Now there's a lot of videos on YouTube on how to tear these carbs apart. This one is a Walbro. They're all kind of similar. I'll try to show you the basics. I'm not going to probably tear too far into this thing, but I'll just try to replace the parts that are bad in it. One thing that you always want to do with a carb is check where your idle and your low and high jets are set. Sorry, it's doing a vibration thing right now. So I've got those all documented. Idle screw set at 4 turns. Low and high are both 1 1/4. So I'll go ahead and pull these out one by one and clean them, and then we'll pull this top and bottom plate off and see if there's anything in there that needs to be fixed. So this is the idle. I'm going to unscrew it all the way. It actually looks pretty darn clean. That all looks good. That just sets how far the butterfly's open, so not super critical. We'll go ahead and screw that back in. So I'll just lightly bottom that out, and then we're going to go 4 turns out. 3.5, 4. That's set and good now. Now let's check the low jet, or the low adjustment rather. It also looks pretty clean. Go ahead and shoot a little juice through there. Okay, we'll put that back in. Lightly bottom it out, and then go 1 1/4 out. So 1/2, 1, 1 1/4. Alright, now we'll check the high jet. I keep saying jet, I mean adjustment. I mean, these kind of are associated with the jets, but so there's our needles checked and good. Now we can tear the top and bottoms off. Now in here there's a little diaphragm, or there should be a little diaphragm. They can get kind of old and brittle, and that's when you start having problems with your carb, start having problems with the saw starting hot, etc. That actually feels okay. Here's our new one. You can see they look a little different. I mean, this thing almost certainly needs to be replaced. It is gonna stick, which is annoying because that means I'll have to clean that up. Alright, I'm gonna clean this crap up and then I'll bring you guys back in. Before I turn you off though, check it out. Alright, we've got this thing pretty well cleaned up. There was some definite funk in that channel there. I don't really know what that thing does, but it's probably serves some sort of purpose. You can kind of see some of it in there still, kind of yellowish looking. The old needle actually still feels pretty good. Actually, it feels better than the new needle. We're going to go ahead and just put this thing right back together. This pin has to go back in. Like so. And that all presses back together. And that screw gets replaced. Alright, so new diaphragm. That little horn needs to hook on the float. There's like a little hook that it hooks on, like that. So it goes like that, gasket and then diaphragm, according to what was previously installed. Okay, and you can test if you've got it captured, because it should hang on like that. Just make sure it's seated right. Okay, that's probably all good now. Let's do this side. Now this one you have to pay attention to the way it comes out, because, well, you guys will see in just a minute. We'll flip this over. So that's the middle one. That's the top one. You can see there is some varnish in there. And then this one's the bottom one. There's a little bit of crap in that screen there, so we'll blow all of these passages out, make sure it's all nice and cleaned up. And we'll go ahead and start replacing things. I think that's it. We'll find out soon enough. Carb should be good. So, I'm kind of down to the home stretch here. Here's the new intake boot. Got a couple more little gaskets that go in on the carb. I'll show you guys how those go in. We'll go ahead and reassemble this thing and see if she runs. I did notice that this bracket was backwards, so I'll just rotate that 180 degrees. And then our carb. So stick that back in the trigger. There we go. It goes in like that. Choke goes in like that. Yeah. Okay, I think we're good. Alright, I just had to fiddle with it. So as you can see, we've got throttle now, and choke is working. I probably ought to hold my mouth until I get this thing running, but if you guys do need me to print you one of these intake boots, reach out to me on my email. I could probably do it for pretty inexpensive for you. That one was, the clutch is reverse thread, so keep that in mind. The last step here, so the oil and then the gas tank gasket is in. You can see it there, it's rubber. It used to be cork. There's like this, I don't know what it is, bituthane or something, some sort of tacky like rubber stuff that you put in here to seal the air box. So I ordered a new one of those. I got that in the freezer right now to kind of harden it up. So once we get that thing set, then we can screw this back on, put the air filter in, put the air filter cover, put the side covers on, and then we're good to go. Like I said, we're going to have to move somewhat quickly on this. Goes right to here. One little dookie left. Get it on there kind of straight so that that gas tank seals up good. Looks pretty good. Of course, I'll put links for all these parts that I bought in the description. That should help you guys out. This goes on here like this. Alright, you guys, here she is. Ready for a test run. It is Halloween today, so maybe we'll run around and scare some kids. This is 40 to 1. Now this almost certainly is going to take some pulling to get started, so oh, that was faster than I expected. That's a good sign. There you have it. A fresh old saw that runs. I'm so stoked. I'd never actually torn an engine down that far before, so this is a big success for me. And it sounds like it runs great. If you guys want to see me actually put this thing into some wood, you're going to have to tune back in, because I know that this video is probably going to be 45 minutes long already. If you like what you see, if you want to see me work on more small engines, if you want to see me cut some stuff up with this thing, maybe cut a big tree down, subscribe. Thank you for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video.